the riding the horses on the beach, very cool. I've actually done it in Mexico. I rode a horse into the water, which is
So like
really
riding
cool.
a horse itself is uncomfortable.
Riding a horse sucks.
And then when you're on the beach, is it just more uncomfortable? Like, is there a chiropractor also in Mexico that helps you out after?
Well, I guess you could at your resort, but I vowed to my wife, I'm like, I will never ride another horse, because she was the one that was like, let's go horseback riding. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Well, I always got the horse that bit the other, like my horse was biting the other horse. And the guy yelled at me. He's like, control your horse. I'm like, I don't know how to control
It's a horse.
I don't know how to control a horse.
It's a horse.
I've never.
How do you control it?
Like pulling on the reins. He's like, stop. You. I'm like, it's not me, dude. Your horse is a jerk.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt. That is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, in today's episode, we're going to talk about 3 signs that the real estate market remains healthy.
Good.
We're going to go through some rookie mistakes that real estate agents make and how to avoid them. So if there are rookie agents out there, or if there are maybe people trying to buy and sell houses that are using a rookie agent or someone that they believe to be a rookie agent, how to avoid these mistakes. And then we're also going to go and touch on in or out, whether Shawn Battle is in or out on 3 properties across the United States. One in our own backyard here in Potomac, Maryland, which everyone has a strong opinion on. Burn it to the ground, I saw one person say.
Someone wants that would be your opinion too.
Well, you know, I turned down listing this $49 million property.
I knew you did.
It was never mine to list, but I turned it down.
You turned it down a couple months ago, I remember.
I also turned down Harvard. I've turned down supermodels to date.
Yeah.
I've turned down a lot of things that were never offered to me in the first place. So we'll get into that. Let's start with an article from MoneyWise. This talks about 3 signs that the real estate market remains healthy. And it starts off, Shawn, did you see that mansion that was on fire on Zillow?
Yes.
That property is now under contract. So that was almost like a symbolism that the 2023 market has arisen, and is alive and well. And so going a little bit more in detail, maybe some concrete facts, if you will. First reason that the market is stable is no debate about mortgage rates. So, you know, maybe last year, maybe 2021, everyone had an opinion, and the writing was on the wall that mortgage rates were going to rise. And they did rise. We thought they would rise, 1%, 1.5%? Yeah, they rose by like 4% or 5%.
Yeah.
So right now, no debate. They used to be around 2.5%, 3%. Now they're hovering around 6% and maybe just under 6%, Shawn. So what are your thoughts on the old mortgage rate debate?
That was it. That was the number one reason the market changed. And so now we have been in the 6% category for a long time, for months now. They haven't gone crazy. And I think buyers are starting to get used to this. They understand that, all right, well, it's not this. We don't have to be scared that they're going up as fast as they did. Even when the Fed just increased rates, it didn't really have an effect. You know, there's a lot of different factors that push interest rates, but we have been pretty stable for a while. And now I think buyers are saying, okay, well, 6% is it. Maybe it'll come down next year. If it does, maybe I can refinance. But 6% is it. And now I know what my number looks like. So I know where my buying power is. And I think just people are relaxed again. They're like, all right, we're not in this crazy uptick of interest rates, which was unprecedented and scary at the same time. Now it's stable. It's 6%. We've seen 6% before. I bought at 6%. You know, many people have in the past. So we're okay with it. These are what our numbers are. Let's go buy.
I think the people that really got burned, you know, were the buyers that were looking, you know, last summer when rates were changing so dramatically. And, you know, one week they're this rate, next week they're, you know, literally a percentage higher. So, you know, how can you, you know, stomach that? You're literally getting priced out of the real estate market that every day that goes on. And maybe those buyers decided to rent for a year. And hopefully what I'm thinking is that, let's call it June or July, they said, hey, we're out. We can't, we're just going to rent. Hopefully what they did was they rented something that was well within their means, saved up some more money. And now that rates are literally lower than where they were a couple months ago, they can now jump back into the real estate market later this year, now that things have stabilized for the most part, with the money that they have saved by renting.
That's a really good point. Hopefully they did do that. I don't know if most people are that smart to do that. They probably spent all their money again, but
look
hopefully
how much we can afford on rent.
Yeah, exactly.
So much.
We could do, all right, we can rent this great place. But you know how frustrating that had to be as a buyer to see what you could have bought and you were just almost there, right? And I've gone through this scenario so many times when I was purchasing something. I'm like, oh my gosh, if these interest rates pop, I'm screwed basically. And that interest rate pop killed so many people's dreams as far as what they could have bought in a lot of areas, especially in our area. Our area is very expensive, and interest rate pops cause a lot of buyers to not be able to do it. And, a lot of people in this area, they have wealthy parents and their parents give them gifts and all that stuff. So it really helps the situation. But in other areas, they don't have that luxury. But can you imagine going through that and sitting there and saying, okay, today I can buy a $700,000 house. And then next week, the interest rate pops up 0.5%. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't anymore. And then now it's gone up 3%. And you're like, all right, now I can buy a $400,000 house. I mean, that completely changed what the buyer's ability to purchase. And I mean, I would be so frustrated if I was a buyer. So I totally hear you if you are frustrated in that. But now it's time to get real again and say, all right, well, these are the interest rates. Hopefully you save some money, like Matt said, and you can jump back in.
Next point is housing tours divorce. So Redfin reported in late January, so a couple weeks ago, that on their website, more customers have requested to start the home buying process. And an article came out on Urban Turf, Shawn. I don't know if you saw this, but a house in Maryland, just outside of DC, allegedly got 200 people at their open house. So a house in Silver Spring. It was kind of I know it's almost a taboo term, but kind of a starter house type of situation. Detached house around the $500,000 mark. Got over 200 people at the open house. Going to get multiple offers. Going to sell for over the asking price. So certainly in a lot of markets, multiple offers are back. Now, obviously, there's going to be the one commenter in the one part in the maybe multiple parts of the country that just has everything under the sun to choose from. So again, really depends on your submarket here.
Definitely depends on the market, submarket, and yeah, tours are up. And you have to remember that we also, not only did we go through a change in interest rates, but we also went through the down market, right? December, January, these are winter markets, and the winter market in our area is typically slower. What happens then is people get through the holidays, they get through New Year's, and they're like, all right, New Year, I'm going to go do an application. So your applications start picking up. Your people that are interested and haven't done applications, now they're starting to tour homes, they're starting to go to open houses, and that's why we start seeing that uptick. It happens every year in that regard. And then what typically happens right about this time is you're going to see a lot of people coming through, but a lot of those people aren't quite ready to write, right? They don't have their ducks in a row yet. They're just starting to fish. But we're going to see them starting to get pre-approved over the next couple of months, and then that's what's going to kick off that spring market. So right now, we're not seeing a lot of inventory. We're seeing a lot of traffic. Submarkets change all the time. So I was just talking about a video I did today where the single family market in Arlington is crazy hot, and then the condo market is a little bit slower, but you have to be in tune with both to figure out what's really going on, and they can change very quickly. So we are definitely seeing more traffic.
By the way, if you were a buyer in the Northern Virginia, DC area, what an opportunity you had in the past 3 to 4 months. I hope you took advantage of that, because we saw buyers from October, November through January just get unbelievably good deals in the Northern Virginia area. I don't know if you saw that as well.
Oh yeah, it was great. This is the one opportunity that people had to actually not compete, do a home inspection, ask for repairs, have an appraisal and a finance contingency. I mean, that's what we aim for. That's great. That's a normal market. And in this area, unfortunately, our buyers have been attuned or accustomed to writing competitive contracts for years. We just saw over the last year just an insanity over the last 2 years, a lot different market because there was just so much competition. But yeah. Anyway.
So the third point is some closure on foreclosure. This one kind of surprised me. I'm not disappointed, but we've done shows and we've talked about foreclosures in the past where we said, "Hey, foreclosures, they're coming. They're coming. They're coming."
Yeah.
Well, they haven't arrived yet. They're not here, and I don't know, if they will be here. And the article says that a lot of the borrowers that are in foreclosure actually have positive equity, which would make it not a foreclosure. So
Right.
I think we're kind of getting past the storm, if
Yeah.
you will, of foreclosure, uncertainty, 2008 kind of resemblance of all these houses that are just going to magically, be short sales and foreclosures.
Yeah, it's not
Shawn,
gonna
are
happen.
you seeing any sort of foreclosures?
No, I don't see any foreclosures, any short sales. And I think it takes some time for foreclosures to start to happen. And the thing is, for a long time, we saw so much appreciation. So the people that have been in there for a couple of years, 5 years, whatever, they have a lot of equity in their home, like the article was saying. If you bought last year, in the beginning of the year, you're probably not hitting that financial burden yet. You're not hitting the oh my gosh, I can't afford this place. Whereas if you bought in, say, March of last year and you paid a premium and then all of a sudden the values have dropped, now you see where you could be underwater a little bit if you didn't put a lot
Who's
down.
going to go into foreclosure? It's going to be the people that bought in 2020, 2021,
That's
and
right. So
maybe 2022.
it's gonna take some time. So if our market recovers by the time that these people are like, oh no, I can't afford this, then they'll be fine. They can just sell it. And you think about how much we saw pop. I mean, 22% in a year or whatever it was. So it coming down 8% isn't really going to kill people for the most part. So there's a few people that it could hit, but I think by the time that actually comes, the market recovers. And so we probably won't see that in our area. Now, there are definitely certain areas that are seeing a lot bigger price drops. And that's why it's like, all right, when you're in a certain area, don't pay attention to national headlines. But when you're in our area, we don't see foreclosures and short sales all that much. And back in the day, we used to, but those have all dried up.
I remember touring a short sale for one of your buyers in McLean. It was like a gaudy, weird mansion.
Yes.
A fire, beepers, beeping, lights are out. Just, seemed like someone had just picked up and left. Just, it's really weird. I'd love to go back and look at some of the first houses that I've shown in my career, just to kind of see what's happened. Like, go back if you just had a track record of every single house, whether that buyer bought it or not, just to see what would happen.
Yeah,
I think that'd be pretty cool.
It would be very cool because
Mhm.
I've shown some crazy houses. I've shown some scary houses. I mean, the stuff we've seen, right? As real estate agents, the
How
stuff that
many
we
houses
seen.
have you seen? Like,
Oh
if you
my,
were to put a number on it,
I don't even know. I mean, thousands and thousands
like,
of
what would be
houses.
the over under if I was a betting man? What would be
I
the
have
over
no
under?
concept. All right, so let's say I've done 500 sales and over the years, right? 500 and some. I mean, I've seen. So, I mean, how many of those are buyers? Probably in my beginning of my career, I did a lot more buyers, and honestly, sometimes I showed like 30 houses to people,
Right.
right? So, like, do the multiplication. Say average is 10. I mean, you got to say 5,000 houses somewhere around
Yeah.
there, and
I
that's
put the over under at like 6,500.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, it's insane.
Well, speaking of that, let's move to an article from Inman.com. What's the biggest rookie mistake agents make? The pros sound off. So this would be a fun topic just to talk about, maybe pull back the curtain a little bit, see what agents struggle with. And this is for rookie agents, but I mean, I'm reading some of these things. I'm like, man, this kind of hits home as well.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, hey, we're always learning, right? I mean, we've all done the mistakes. We've all grown through the business, and so
Shawn,
we can
talking
all learn
about
from it.
money mistakes. Let's see. Lido Rodriguez and Jolene Sutton have this to say: spending the money they made before actually getting to closing and seeing the transaction fall through, and not preparing for taxes and buying into the next shiny thing. Are you guilty
Oh,
of either of these two things?
100%. Not really the buying. I have been very conservative with my money because I was flipping houses and I got caught one time. So I've learned to say, all right, I'm not spending my money. I don't even really count the money until it's closed and then it hits my account. I'm like, okay, there it is. Because you can't. These things fall out all the time. And if you start counting your money early, you're going to be let down over and over and over again. So wait until that hits your account. I will say that I have always been afraid of taxes. Taxes for me, if you want my blood pressure to go up, say taxes, and it does. And that's why I have a really good accountant that handles all my taxes. And what I've done over the past years is started getting ahead of those taxes, which is really difficult if you're always behind on your taxes. And if I was a year behind on my taxes, I would be freaking out. Like, there are people a year, 2 years, 3 years behind on, I still owe money on this stuff. Of course there are. If you're one of them, you know who I'm talking about. You're it, dude. I'm telling you. So the important thing is get ahead of this stuff.
So when you say get ahead, do you mean pay quarterly?
Pay quarterly.
That's what you mean by get ahead?
Yes. I mean, it's very difficult to do because sometimes when you're starting to make some money, you're like, okay, I finally can breathe. I have X amount in my account, but then you owe the government $6,000. Hey, you better pay that $6,000 or $5,000 or whatever it is you're paying quarterly to get it gone. Because if you're not, you're going to owe a huge amount. And I've written big checks to the government at one time, and it's not fun.
What's a big check?
I mean, at one time, 20, 30K.
So how do you properly prepare for taxes when you just get a commission check? What percentage of that check is like, boom, goes to a tax account or goes to a separate account where you don't touch it, or at least you try not to touch it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best at that, right? I don't divide my wife, she'll be like, okay, we have this separate account, and all. I'm like, all right, that's a little crazy, right? But for me, I have it going into the business account, and I know how much is there, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm computing. I don't compute it on a per basis. I say, all right, my tax accountant said I'm going to owe X amount every quarter. Do I have that money, and can I pay it? And so for 2022 that we're going to be filing, I've already paid all my taxes. I've already put into my my SEP IRA and all that stuff. So my accounts are down, but I've already paid that. So that's the good thing. So that's what I'm saying. So as far as that goes, I mean, as a real estate agent, you have a lot of expenses as well. And that's what people don't understand. We spend so much money. And that's why you need to make money to pay for all of this, the marketing and everything else that goes into it. So, your net, what are you paying? When it comes down to it, is it like 15% on the total, somewhere around that? Our tax rates are like 20 whatever percent, but that's at the higher end. So there's only a portion that you're paying that much too. So I think when it averages out, it might be 15, 20%. But is that of the actual amount that you receive? No, because you're reduced by your expenses. So I don't really have the exact answer for that, but I would just say prepare for it. If you're doing your own taxes, you're losing out on a lot. Hire an accountant, because I have a really good one, and he's super busy all the time, but he knows how to do it. He follows the rules, and he knows how to file your taxes. And so he tells me what to pay. I pay it. Done.
Nice. Yeah, I have 2 accounts, business checking, business savings. And so when commission check comes in into the checking, immediately 30% of that goes to the savings account, which works as just the quarterly tax payment. So there's always something in there that I can withdraw from.
And that's very smart. And that's the kind of thing that you need to not even look at that account. It's just like, all right, I know it's there, but that's not my spending money. This is my spending money.
So some time management mistakes: not using a CRM, trying to be all things to all people, catering to potential clients without qualifying them as real buyers, thus wasting their time and energy while simultaneously training a consumer to misunderstand the proper steps of home buying from start to finish. And
did you do those radio commercials where you, at the end, you're like,
I really should. Well, coming up next on the Shawn and Matt show, terms and conditions. Talk much faster than that. And then finally, too much talking, not enough listening. Shawn, the one that gets me is the one that I said really fast: catering to potential clients without failing to qualify them as buyers.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been guilty of that probably yesterday.
Did I say without failing to?
With failing
without qualifying them as real buyers.
Yeah, I mean, the one conversation you always have is, hey, you need to get pre-approved. You need to get pre-approved. But sometimes people are like, hey, I want to go see this house. And, think about, well, Zillow leads are probably pre-qualified and, whatever. But there's always going to be one.
Did you just say Zillow leads are pre-qualified?
I'm saying like if you're getting a Zillow lead from like I don't know, I've never had a Zillow lead, but I'm assuming that these people, well, no, not everyone, but the ones that you're paying for, maybe I'm wrong. All right, maybe I'm wrong. Matt's looking at me like I have a square face. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they aren't pre-qualified, and that's our job to get them pre-qualified. But I'm definitely guilty of this because sometimes you get a lead and you're just like, all right, I got to go. I want to meet this person face to face, because how do you close a lead? It's not by, asking them questions over the phone. It's by asking them questions face to face. And if you can take that time to actually meet them, you're going to have a much better ability to close them. Now, there's a risk that goes with that, and that is, okay, thanks, see ya, and that happens a lot. And so that's why there are inside salespeople that pre-qualify these people for the agents on these big teams and stuff. But I mean, the thing about real estate is it's all about the lead, and getting the lead is very difficult. How do you get the lead? And website leads are they're tougher. And so the warmest leads are always going to be from your sphere. The toughest leads are always going to be from the internet. So you got to be careful.
And I think we're all guilty of, someone goes on not necessarily your website, but someone wants to see a house and they're like, hey, can I show this house? And you're like, yeah, let's go. Let's see it. I can be there in an hour. Let's do it. And then you get there and they're like, all right, didn't like it. And then like, where do you go from there? Is it like, what's the next step? Because clearly they just wanted to see that house, but what really should be happening is like, okay, are you pre-qualified? Do you know the steps? Like, what's the appraisal process going to look like? So, but buyers, they don't want to answer those questions. They get frustrated. They just want to see the house. Yeah. And then if it doesn't work, then it's like, okay, well then I'll just restart the process all over again. When in reality, like there needs to be some sort of Zoom conversation or some sort of like sit down in an office.
Yeah, and every lead is different. And so you have to kind of feel out that person when you're talking to them. And I've met people where like I tried to relate with them, and when I meet them, I'm like, man, these people are very tough. They're just gone, right? They're not paying attention to you. They don't care about you. They just want to look at this house. You have a little bit of a conversation, and you try to close them later, and they're not there. But then there's other people that are just like open and receptive, and they'll answer all your questions. And those are the type of people that you can ask those leading questions with. And I think having a script down is really good. And I've never been a great script person, but it's important. You should have something down where these are the questions you ask whenever you're talking to somebody for the first time.
Well, it's just like filming a video, right? You're not a script person, fine, but you have an outline. Yeah. You have topics you want to touch on. You don't need to follow word for word. How long have you been searching for your home buying?
Don't do that, please. Yeah. My God, I hate that. But you have to have an outline.
When you think of script, that's what you think of. You think of a poor salesperson reading from a regurgitated Mike Ferry script.
Yeah.
But when in reality, polished salespeople that use scripts weave that into a natural conversation so it feels natural for both sides.
Yeah, and that's important for sure.
Next up, mindset mistakes, not learning mental strength and managing the highs and lows, not doing enough research into the brokerages they're looking into joining before doing so, and then thinking they can learn it themselves and not building systems from day one. Shawn, talk to me about your systems.
My systems. Man, it takes a long time to build systems. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that there is a ton of work in real estate, a ton of behind the scenes work that you've got to do. And so over the years, now we have CRMs. And, at the beginning, I had a CRM called Excel, right? It was an Excel sheet.
Some people still use Excel, and still do. Very successful.
Exactly. As long as you can maintain it and you can figure out what you're looking at. I mean, some people are really good in that way. But over the years, we've tried out different CRMs, and, now we use Chime, and I'm still getting used to it, but it's a great tool. And if you utilize it the correct way, then you can really follow up with the people that you need to follow up with. You can rate the leads as hot or cold, or if they're past clients or whatever, you can put them in a sphere bucket, that kind of thing. So that's important. What I would say is that, in those systems, don't waste your time on. Sometimes you throw all these clients in and you're like, I'm going to be a follow-up king, right? But then you get bogged down. And so what you should do is rate them and say, all right, these are the 20% that I really need to focus, or 10% or whatever it is. These are the people that I need to focus on. These are the people that aren't so hot. They're not there. And, kind of rate them on a system like that. So that's one thing. I think everybody's always learning in that regard and trying to make themselves better and trying to get the systems together. But the thing is, we are thrown so many systems as real estate agents. Do you know how hard it is to learn a big system like that? It takes a long time. And when you're busy selling, it's hard to go and back and kind of figure it out. Not only that, you learn it and then you get super busy and then you forget a lot of the things. So the winter months is when you learn and you do it and you put it into action. And then once you start getting busy, hopefully you've got that system going. The other thing we do is weekly mailers, right? No, we're not doing a newsletter. We are doing an informational email that we personally write that infuses our video that we're doing right now. And we infuse a couple other things into it. And we talk about the area and we send this to our database, and our database could be, whatever it is. So those are a couple of the systems that we use.
So the one for me is the managing the highs and lows, because real estate, I think I've said this before, but real estate is just like getting punched in the face over and over again and then getting back up. And I know if there's a week or literally a month where I've just been figuratively punched in the face over and over again and haven't got any listings, I've failed at a presentation. I just know if I keep getting up and if I keep showing up, that business is right around the corner. So, the way I like to think about it is, a storm is coming, right? So, when I'm doing really well, it's not going to last, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you have these months where you close all the deals and you're king of the world. Well, it's not going to last. And on the flip side, when you can't, sell ice to someone
Eskimo.
I was gonna say someone in Vegas or something, like when you can't close a deal to save your life and you don't have any pending sales, it's not gonna last forever. Like the sun's gonna rise in the morning and there's gonna be deals around the corner, so long as you're opening up your CRM, so long as you're picking up the phone and you are prospecting.
Matt, real estate is a lonely business and it's a frustrating business, and you can go through some very big psychological changes. I'm really good when I'm busy. When I'm busy, man, I will run. I will be there. I'm like boom, boom, boom. When I'm slow, it's a psychological thing. And my wife, thankfully, talks to me through the slow times. And the slow times, they're not as bad as your mind puts into it, right? So, but she's like, Shawn, every January you say the same thing. Do you realize that? And I'm like, yeah, but every January I'm gonna have to say the same thing because I'm not as busy. It's a slower time of the year. And when you're not making any money, thankfully and hopefully you've saved money for these times, but they can come on pretty quickly. And all of a sudden you get into this thing where it's like, all right, well, man, I haven't closed a deal. All right, well, and this is where you have to stay active. You have to get out there. You have to be around agents. You have to go to, meetings and talk to people and get through it, because we all go through them. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, how successful you are. We all go through these psychological ups and downs. And the more you surround yourself with good agents that can teach you something, agents that can relate, the better off you're going to be. And so I think that we all have to work in getting ourselves through it. Matt could be super busy and I'm super slow, and vice versa. And it happens all the time. And so that's where it's like, hey, you're going to be okay. You're going to pull through this. Don't worry about it. Matt starts working on systems and certain things, and then boom, he's busy. And I'm like twiddling my thumbs over here like, all right, Matt's busy. So one thing, join a team. If you're alone out there, it's doubly hard, or whatever the word is. It's exponentially harder. And sometimes you feel like you don't have somebody to call. You don't have somebody to reach out to. You don't have anybody to relate to. Whereas when you're on a team, or you're at least jumping on meetings, or you have a circle of people that you can meet with to talk through these things, you're going to be much more better off. And the one thing that can happen in real estate is that you dry up and you wither away. And if you let these psychological downturns get under your skin, you can easily just say, I'm done. And we've seen the statistics, right? 85% of agents quit in the first 5 years. And this is why. It's because you're not surrounded by the right people, and you're not doing the things that you need to be doing as a real estate agent to keep your business going. So, man, it's tough. Sales is tough, period. And it's, 100% commission is rough. So you have to be smart with your money, smart with your time, and smart with your mind.
Well said. Well said, sir.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our third topic. This is in or out, whether Shawn Battle is in or out on 3 houses. Shawn, let's start in the D.C. area, Potomac, Maryland. Dan Snyder is selling his Potomac estate for $49 million. If he sells it for this price, it will be the most expensive house that has ever sold in the D.C. area. He bought the house from the King of Jordan. Can you put Jordan on a map for us?
It is in the Middle East.
I'll take it.
Yep.
Oh, why don't we just stop there? That's a win. So it could be the biggest sale in DC area history. Of course, Dan Snyder is unfortunately not leaving the area because he did buy a house for $48 million last year, Riverview in the Alexandria area. This house is called, the one that he's selling is called River House. It is listed by TTR Sotheby's International Realty. It is only 5 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, 13.5 bathrooms, has just about everything that you need. Gym, chef's kitchen, 24-foot fireplace, spa, wine cellar, home theater. Dan Snyder bought the 6 surrounding plots of land, and then notoriously had the Park Service cut down some trees so he could see a better view of the Potomac River and got that employee in some hot water. So, Shawn, are you in or out on River House for $49 million?
Oh, Matt. I think I know Matt's answer to this, and my answer is probably going to be the same now. I want to see some interiors, Matt. I want to see how this guy lived. No, it's totally not my style. I don't want anything that,
What do you think it'll sell for?
I mean, with his reputation in the area, probably like 20 million.
You think no one cares about his reputation that's going to be buying this?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah, I had to finish my sentence there. I do enjoy the Redskins themed, couch area here. Clinton Portis picture right there.
Cool stuff.
Movie theater. I'm not sure if he has enough friends to fill up this movie theater.
I mean, the back of the house is gorgeous with that pool there. That was beautiful. It's gaudy. It's humongous. It's not my style, but
I think it'll go for 40. I'm going to say 40 plus million. But
do you know what he bought it for? Does it say how much he paid for it?
I may flash that up on the screen if I can find it. Yeah, I think gaudy is the name of the game here.
Yeah.
So
the pull is tremendous.
You,
I'm out.
So
I'm out. I'm not buying that.
Do you want to just? I'm totally out on it. If I was in the market for a house like this, first of all, I'd be on the Virginia side.
Yes.
So I could pay some Virginia tax dollars.
That's right.
Not to help out the Commonwealth.
That's right.
Help out
we're Virginia guys.
The greater good, Old Dominion there. And second of all, I don't know if French is my style. It could be. I'm not out on French, but I'm out on the Maryland side of French.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe this could be turned into a museum of Redskin worst NFL owner.
Stop. You're just patronizing me at this point. So do you want to take a guess at what it's going to sell for, or you don't want to do predictions?
I think it'll go for, let's say, $49 million. I have no concept. I'll just go $38 million.
Well, so it really doesn't matter because he's selling the team. We all know he's selling. The team's going to sell for $7 billion.
Yeah,
with a B. So who cares about a puny little $49
million house? Yeah,
little toy house. Also interesting, the photographer Sean Shanahan. Now, don't think that there's any relation to former Redskins coach Mike Shanahan, but Mike Shanahan, Dan Snyder had big beef, and it's just ironic that the photographer is the last name of a former head coach that Snyder had beef with.
That's awesome.
I would say Shanahan had beef with Snyder, but kind of both ways. All right, let's move on to our next house. This comes to us from Zillow, Las Vegas. Shawn, 15 Bright Hollow Court. So this seems like a normal house. I say normal house. Yeah, it's just a
$6.5 million.
6-bedroom, 9-bathroom, 10,000 square foot house for $6.5 million in Vegas,
Wow.
built in 2011. It seems like a nice house. And then when you're scrolling through the photos, what do you find in the basement but an Italian street?
Oh,
Via, I'll throw it up here.
yeah.
So
Wow.
it's essentially you got Italy in your basement, and you can open up one of the doors, and you're in a home office down there. So you're walking the cobblestone streets of Rome, essentially. Shawn, are you in or out on people? And we've seen this before, like the fake sky. I think we've seen cars like
Yeah.
kind of like this everyday America, but this one is actually after Rome. Are you in or out on an Italian street in your basement?
I'm buying it, man. This is cool. Have you ever been to the Venetian in Vegas?
Yes.
Like, think of the Venetian in Vegas. Imagine the cool party. You guys you're all your people are sitting down there enjoying a drink on the streets of Rome in your basement. I love
You don't
it.
think it's tacky?
It's tacky as hell, but I love it. I think it's really, I mean, it's so unique. It's so neat.
You're gonna fill up that wine bottle?
Fill up that wine. No,
wine
that's like
cellar?
a 1,000-bottle wine cellar.
Do you drink wine?
I don't. I will, but I'm not like a wine connoisseur where I have multiple bottles of wine at home. If I want to drink one, I'll go buy it and like open it that day. But like, maybe I should get into it.
Because I'm thinking with what you said about how beer makes you feel, and hard liquor.
Yeah, but I go through these ups and downs with my beer love, right? I love beer. I love the taste of an IPA, but at the same time, you're like, it
Do you have
bloats you a
wine at
bit.
dinner?
Typically not. No, I'll have a beer at dinner or like a mixed drink or something. But I was strictly beer for a long time, and then I started,
You have a mixed drink at dinner? You just
doing
have like a vodka and
that's
soda
rare.
at dinner?
That's very rare. I usually don't drink, to be honest. But then a beer is good, or if I've had a stressful day, a beer, 2 beers would be awesome. But with dinner, I like water. Honestly, I'm not like I don't eat and drink. I drink or I eat. I'm not like the mix it up very well in that regard. And I was telling somebody the other day, it was like, I crave beer when I am hungry or when I'm very thirsty. Like I don't crave water or anything. I want a beer. And that's, if I would just go drink or eat something, I wouldn't crave the beer anymore. So that's kind of what I know in my head. I'm like, all right, I know I shouldn't be drinking right now, so I'm just going to go eat something and I'll be all right.
All right, so I'm also in on the house. 6.5. Yeah, sure, I'm in. I like the
pool looks
aesthetic. I like
amazing.
the pool. I like the twilight shots doing something for me.
Looks great.
I'm barely in on Vegas. I don't really enjoy deserts where you can just keep building more houses.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried about water, like we saw in the neighborhood adjacent to Scottsdale.
Yes.
Where they just decided to shut off the water to all the houses. So a little wary about that, but I'm in on the Italian street.
Yeah, I think the thing with Vegas is I'm just not, I mean, I like to go to Vegas. I've been there too many times where I don't even need to go back. I just, buying something in the desert to me just feels like, man, I'm here. Now what? What is there for me there? I need to be close to water, not a desert. And so for location wise, that would be one reason that I would be out. But for that house, it's pretty sick.
You have to be close to water, like a body of water.
Yeah,
It's
like
so
close. I mean, like we have the Potomac here. I can get to I can drive to somewhere like the Chesapeake in about 45 minutes.
Is it being landlocked?
Yeah.
Like if you were in Colorado, would you still feel the same way?
I probably would, but Colorado has beautiful mountains and you can do different things there. I would probably be more accustomed to go there because you could ski. There's water.
What about like
there's lakes?
Yeah, like Salt Lake City. You're landlocked, but you got a big old Salt Lake.
Yeah, but is the Salt Lake what I'm looking for? I don't know. Is there anything living in that thing? That's the problem. So I need to go fishing somewhere. And in Vegas, I mean, I guess there's maybe one spot to fish, but
hop on a bird and you'll be on the West Coast in no time.
That's true.
All right, last one comes to us from Compass, 2937 Padaro Lane. This house is listed for $109 million, and I'm still trying to figure out how. 3 beds, 3.5 bathrooms, 2,500 square feet. I think the real answer, Shawn, 4 acres on the ocean. So you have direct ocean access. This is in Santa Barbara County, so just south of Santa Barbara, and they are really geared towards horse lovers. So It is a what did they call it? A horse-friendly beach. I think I saw that. Yeah. So there's a private trail, horse-friendly beach, yacht docking, and the opportunity for an abundant ocean recreation. Shawn, are you in or out on a house, a 3-bedroom house on 4 acres for $109 million?
109. Is that it, Matt? 109 million. I mean, I'd be out just on the sheer number of it. The property is gorgeous. I love the fact that it's naturally on the water. 4 acres on the water has got to be worth a lot of money. How much oceanfront footage is that, and how much can you actually buy like that anymore? The riding the horses on the beach, very cool. I've actually done it in Mexico. I rode a horse into the water, which is
So, like,
really
riding
cool.
a horse itself is uncomfortable.
Riding a horse sucks.
And then when you're on the beach, is it just more uncomfortable? Like, is there a chiropractor also in Mexico that helps you out after?
Well, I guess you could at your resort, but I vowed to my wife, I'm like, I will never ride another horse, because she was the one that was like, let's go horseback riding. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Well, I always got the horse that bit the other, like my horse was biting the other horse, and the guy yelled at me. He's like, control your horse. I'm like, I don't know how to control my.
It's a horse.
I don't know how to control a horse.
It's a horse.
I've never.
How do you control it?
Like pulling on the reins. He's like, stop. You. I'm like, it's not me, dude. Your horse is a jerk, right? So that horse is the one I was riding, and I'm like following it. It's biting the one. The other one's kicking on me, and I'm like, this sucks, And then we get to the beach. It's hot as all get out. You get to the beach. You ride through, which is neat, riding through the water with a horse. But the whole experience
sounds romantic.
Yeah, it was not. And I've had horse experiences throughout my life like that. I've always had the horse that just goes nuts. And
well,
so
it can, Shawn.
Maybe it's my energy.
Dude, no, horses can sense energy.
Yeah.
You got to give out a better energy.
Well, I will say the first time I was young on a horse, and my friend was riding a horse, and her horse took off. And so my horse followed it. And, if you've ever ridden a horse, what you're used to, or what you're prepared for, is like this: good-dum, 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 not like hanging on while this thing's chasing something, and I'm like, oh my god, I could die in this thing, right? So that's my horse story. I don't know.
This looks like a property for
tangent,
a celebrity, like for someone to buy, and it's where like celebrities go. This may sound bad, but like celebrities go to rehab, right? Where a celebrity pays like $200,000 a month to stay clean and do yoga in the backyard.
Really good.
Like, you've heard of these celebrities, they just go to some rehab place and it's paradise. And I'm sure they're going through like a really emotional time, so I don't want to like downplay, drugs and stuff like that. But I'm just baffled by, I think, the sales price and the acreage. But if there's the right use case for it, I mean, obviously 4 acres on the Pacific Ocean is incredible.
Amazing. And I was thinking, not on your line, which is a really good thought, but a resort, right? Some sort of resort buys this thing and then builds a really cool secluded resort in the 4 acres.
It might be in a single family home.
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't know.
That's like, I'm saying, like, you maybe can get away with like a group home.
Yeah.
Like, these random group homes in McLean that, everyone hates, but they're good for society.
Yeah. I mean, I'm out just here on the pure price of it. Naturally, I love it, and I'm a beach guy, and I'd love to have that, but $109 million, man.
So to be clear, I'm out on the 109, but I'm in on Italy. I think I'm in on Italy.
Italy was cool. Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts, whether you are in or out. Drop them in the comment section below. And for Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.